Welcome back to another Doing Good in the Hood series. We don't do them often, but when we do them special. Tonight we're going to be talking to some real brothers. Go grab your sons, your brothers, your nephews, your uncles, your fathers, and listen to us black men talk about real life stuff. We're going to be talking about life after incarceration. I got my brother Cedric Freisen. I got my brother Chacho. My brother Dr. Ben Levi will be one of the co-hosts. I'm the other co-host, Murray. And you know we can't get it done without Intellectual Dre, the executive producer behind the scenes always. How you brothers feeling, man?
Great.
Let's start out. Chacho, introduce yourself to us.
Man, my name Chacho. I'm from the east side. A lot of rappers rap about my street a lot, but they don't be over there, 79th Street type stuff. And
Right.
I'm just trying to make sure, that we all understand that it been like a, demonic plot and we gotta elevate. It's time.
Yes, sir. Cedric. Brother Cedric, tell us a little something about yourself.
Oh man, in a nutshell, I'm part of the beautiful struggle. From the west side of Chicago by way of Greenwood, Mississippi, and I grew up with all the isms and the dysfunction that come along with that, the Austin area. And you know what? I just managed to take my journey, and a lot of those X's, I done flipped them around and made it my portfolio. So now I'm real marketable as a productive member of society, and I'm here to bust that myth and switch the narrative up about and show what redirection and re-entry looks like. That's my purpose.
Good, and that's what we're going to talk about, what we could do to better serve the hood. So we usually start off with Dr. Ben Levi, giving us a little soliloquy about, prison industrial complex or something to set the tone and the mood. You ready, Doc?
Yeah, I'm always ready. You know me. As they say, I was born ready. You understand?
Right. Let's rock out. Before you do, I just want to reiterate, at PB, we don't give a damn about cancel culture. So if you get offended, oh well, turn the shit off. Mm-hmm. All right, Doc, let's rock out, man.
All right. Well, as always, I'm glad to be here. Chacho, nice meeting you, brother, for the first time. I heard a lot about you. Of course, yes, my brother said, you know what I mean? That's my brother, who's more than just a former student of mine, I mean, we like real brothers on the real level, all the way around, I'm like kind of like family. I almost feel like, I brought he and his wife together, not directly, but very indirectly because, they were both my students. And so, that's always a beautiful thing. And, and the other things that I'm, trying to do and plan to do with this brother is going to be crucial. But, when we talk about this prison industrial complex, it's something that they've been talking about for a long time, but it really goes back even further than that. I mean, white folks been classifying us and accusing us of being criminals and stuff like that since they came up with the idea of the curse of Ham, which goes all the way back to the Jewish Talmud. And the idea that we were cursed to be black and all this other kind of stuff and using biblical literature to support that argument. But also, in order to justify the enslavement of black people and putting us down, they had to first dehumanize us, to take the humanity away from us, to look at us as not even being people, to look at us as being animals. And many people were engaged in making this possible, this kind of intellectual thrust, because you got to remember that a lot of those people who were involved in the trade, whether they were the Dutch or the Spanish or the British or the French, they all learned this from someplace. For example, the idea to master the slave and that whole foundation on which they based that comes out of Aristotle's work called the Politics. Now, they had a lot of Enlightenment thinkers like you had like Immanuel Kant, who's real big here in the United States. He wrote a book on the critique of pure reason, which a lot of people read, but a lot of people don't read his work called On the Beautiful and the Sublime and Other Essays. Because On the Beautiful and Sublime and Other Essays, this is when he talk about black people real bad. And he's using that argument based off another guy named David Hume, who in his inquiry into human understanding, he talks about black people like a dog. I mean, to the point of saying, we're not even humans. We never created anything. We never did anything in the world. We're only good to be like slaves, even though, you know, for the audience who may not understand the word esclavos. Esclavos really meant Slavic people, les esclavos, the Slavic people, because they were the ones initially being enslaved. We didn't really get enslaved until a little later on in that whole game. But you know, you have people like Charles Montesquieu in 1723. Charles Montesquieu wrote The Spirit of the Law. He has a whole section in that book that talk about us. You know, he even says, one of his lines, if we were to accept these Africans as humans, then we can't be Christians. Talking about, you know, the Europeans. Then you have the case of a person like who? You have Thomas Hobbes. I mean, all these are these, you know, like Enlightenment thinkers. But the people who were engaged in enslaving us, which is another way of because imprisoning us, they had to justify the outcome because some of them were actually involved in trade and made money off of it. And then there's, for example, Adam Smith. Adam Smith wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations. It's one of the economic philosophies behind the United States. And he talked about in it how important it was to manage Black people. Now, the management of Black people had to do with how we were controlled for production and stuff like that. But kicking it up to kind of today, the United States Constitution was built around and designed to support not only the suppression of Black people, but also the maintenance of white supremacy in this country. When they were putting together the essays for the Constitution, this is a work that's called the Federalist Papers, written by John J. Alexander Hamilton and James Madison. They spent a lot of time talking about Black people and how they wanted to write up the Constitution in such a way that they could talk about Black people would not talk about us. And then when it came time for the 13th Amendment, of course, you know, they said, well, if all these people are free, and of course, Abraham Lincoln didn't free no damn body. You know, that's the story they give us. Abraham Lincoln, you know, emancipated us. He didn't emancipate no damn body. You know what I mean? We emancipated ourselves. We freed ourselves. The problem that they had was now that they got all these people who are no longer going to work for free and be abused and disrespected and killed at will, what are we going to do? How can we still maintain control over them? So the 13th Amendment was designed to say, well, if they commit some type of crime, and now what was the crime? The crime for us was being free. And if we didn't have a way of maintaining ourselves, they created the Vagrancy Law. That is, if we find some brothers standing on the corner and we feel they're doing nothing, then we can lock them up. And what locking them up does, what that does is create an industry that puts people back in slavery again by working for these major corporations. You got people like corporations, you know, the Corrections Corporation of America, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange and all of that. But during Richard Nixon's administration, Richard Nixon came up with this idea of law and order. And the idea of law and order was an attack on Black men, particularly Black people in general, but Black men in particular, and saying that we were all criminals and stuff like that. And so he passed a kind of it's all you know, all out thing. And you will find every president except this current one, who hasn't said much about it, and probably Obama, but every president has talked about law and order. And see, this is what they call dog whistle politics. The dog whistle, you know, is such that when you blow it for the dog hear what you're saying. Everybody else can't hear. And so they got these words that they use, terms that they use, that the people that they're talking to know that when they say these things, they're talking about us. I always tell people all the time, you know, our people all the time, sometimes when you think they're talking to you, they're talking about you. But we don't know the nomenclature. We don't know the game, and we don't know those words that they use to do that. And so that's been around for a while, and they have continued to perpetuate that thing with this law and order to get us more and more locked up. And a lot of this has to do with, there are a lot of four-letter words. The one
Yeah.
four-letter word we overlook as a four-letter word is fear. They scared, they're afraid. And our thing is, from the very beginning, we was like, leave us the hell alone to do our thing, see. But they were worried because guess what? We knew how to plant everything. We built them houses and stuff. We knew how to do all of that. We knew how to be entrepreneurial. And I'm not going to talk too much about that, but in 1864, a man by the name of Martin Robeson Delaney, a bad brother, we like to call him the father of black nationalism. He did a speech called to the slaves in the South Sea Islands off the Carolinas, and he told them, "Do you know what we could do if we just pooled all our resources together? We grow all the food anyway. We do all the building and stuff anyway. They'd have to come to us for everything." Well, that raised a whole lot of concern because, see, whenever Martin Delaney went and spoke, they always had a white person in his audience to write and record what he said, but he didn't care. He didn't care at all. And so over time, what we've seen is the need to suppress us as a people when all we wanted to be done, all we wanted was to be left alone to live our lives. But when you got people whose lives are very dependent on the work of other people, when these people decide to come out and say, well, look, I can do the work, but you got to pay me now. They said, hell no, we're going to go to Europe and we're going to bring us some immigrants over here. And they started this mass immigration thing, which offset that problem that they were having. One of the things that offset that problem. So the consequence of that was we had our own schools, teaching our own people, building our own schools with our own money, having our teachers, paying them with our own money. They saw that they didn't like it. They burnt the damn schools down. When we had our own cities, and not just Tulsa, but, Wilmington and North Carolina and several other places, they didn't like that we had our own stuff and was building for ourselves and doing for ourselves. So they came in, or they used some pretext for some type of nonsense, like somebody touched some white woman, and then they burned the city down, bring the men out, shoot them up, lynch them, take their body parts off and use them for souvenirs. Who does that? I was
Well, we know
they
who
talk
does
about all
that.
that and got this picture. So I'm saying that to say that there's a legacy that goes on behind this that we don't often overlook. And I think that, bringing on, Chacho and said, they can talk about this in some other type of levels that I can't.
Right.
But I wanted to set the historical stage for
it. And we appreciate that because we always need the historical standpoint. So I want to start getting into this. Before we start talking about solutions, I would love to hear Cedric's and Chacho's perspective. Growing up in Chicago, in the city, myself and maybe some of my peers, we always thought prison was kind of inevitable. I luckily missed it off of technicalities. But Chacho said something at the beginning about being demonic and we need to stop. Would you build on that, elaborate on that for us, brother?
Okay, well, like the brother Ben Levi was touching on, it has been. Is he talking? It has. Oh, he need me to talk up. Oh, okay. Y'all can hear me now. Okay, okay. Yeah, it has been a strategized type of thing that I could feel and see that the fear, as the brother touched on, in the Caucasian or European, uh whatever, they have been, trying to control us by de- deteriorating our thinking and our thought processes, and they keep us being bombarded with so many different tragical, just so much low vibrations, so much negativity that our minds can't rise above what our environment is giving us due through their, technicalities of, or whatever that they've been, trying to establish as far as keeping them on top and us on bottom. And I'm like a solution dude. I just want to, reiterate thought was the cause of it all. And if we can, somehow find a middle ground in our right now, as far as all of us strong brothers like the panel here and strong brothers throughout the planet, find us a middle ground to kind of even the heck, the heck, what else, what I'm trying to say, heck, the just the frustration and everything that we're going through, and kind of find peace in the right now to think better for ourselves, and that can transcend to another brother, another sister, and our kids and all of that. It's a simple solution, but it's so much red tape and obstacles that we have to go through to even understand that the solution is right at our footsteps at the whole time. So I just really want to be a part of this conversation to kind of push the agenda of changing our thought forces, understanding we are connected to source, understanding, like the brother said, Ben Levy, it all came from us anyway. They reversed everything, and now everything is in reverse. We have to realize that, and realize that they are cute for being, inferior, feeling inferior. And it's just because they are. Not to even put us above them, because we are one. Even them, it's just that the competition is they create against us is gonna end up being their detriment if we all don't get it together. So that's just my standpoint on it.
No, it's crucial because you're talking about that spiritual aspect, that critical thinking, that 50 seconds, 30 seconds that we make decisions,
Yes.
that adds time to our life, unwanted time. Brother Cedric, you want to chime in on this?
Man, yeah, I appreciate, man. I'm so glad to be in this conversation, because these type of conversations don't take place as much as they should. You know what I mean? And then everything is genuine. I like authenticity, man. I'm so, I go to war with the fake shit daily. You know what I mean? It's like, and my challenge, my challenge is patience with that. With like what the brother was sharing. It's like, it's nothing new. We know, even that we see the traps that was set, right? And the pitfalls and all the blocking agents all put in play, and see how it played out. Me being 52 years old, I come up with two siblings, right? One was called hip hop, and the other one was called crack cocaine era. You know what I mean? And like, that was we all know that was just a mass full court press on incarceration. And it almost became, in our communities, being misled by the misinformed, even though I mean, in Chicago, and I can speak to this because I'm what you would call a subject matter expert, real life street credibility, lived experience, and I'm a war veteran. And I'm talking about from these streets, and I don't have post-traumatic stress, right? Not from that, because I'm still in the same place. A soldier go off the war 1,000 miles away, he come back, okay, post-traumatic stress. This is afterwards. Now we put him back together. But we operate in the same place. I ain't leave the war field. I haven't left the battlefield. So ain't nothing post. It's jumping out, like the brother said, in the moment. And I don't want to get scattered, because I'm real passionate about this. So my mind sometimes will get the racing, but we gonna learn something. We gonna share. Now, as far as the incarceration, it had all, when you look at that culture, jail is a culture. Jail life is a culture, right? And it wasn't until I really became conscious and looked back and saw the coping skills that I developed, man. I've been in and out of jail 20 years. Like, you gotta Man, I can count on one hand how many fights I had because I had learned a way to finesse and navigate around conflict. You know, and that's always been my spirit, right? Even in the street organizations in Chicago, like no other. You know what I mean? We had some things that was put in play that was actually a manual that in all of it that I've seen, and I've seen just about everybody's literature, you know, the street organizations in Chicago. In the one concept that I kept hearing or always saw was the idea and concept of village and taking care of the family. You know what I'm saying? And there was some core values in that. You know what I mean? This ain't all this public record. Come on, from the Latin Kings to the GDs, Vice Lord Stones, all that. You know, I was having a conversation with someone that came to do some work in Chicago who was coming with a California model. And I had to remind that brother that, and I'm not diminishing what he had to offer, but I'm saying allow me to help you with this because we don't have Crips and Bloods in Chicago. That tell you something about us, and that's not no shot at my Crip and Blood brothers. I'm saying if you can't name a Crip set in Chicago, you can't name a Blood set in Chicago. Everywhere else though, St. Louis, Mississippi, Arkansas, Newark, New Jersey, New York, you know. And again, this is no pun. I'm talking about my city, which I have the right to speak to. So anyway, those structures, and they almost had become like a rite of passage. I remember being a young man saying, man, about 17, saying, well, you know what? I could stand the case. I could take one. And back then, that was a certain level, even willing to take one for the OG. If he was in a situation, man, one more case will wipe him out. Me not having no case would, you know, and as a black man, it's in my DNA to be what you would call to be in a group, tribal. You know what I mean? And belonging to something. And I admit that I downplayed a lot of my ideas in the name of belonging and kind of followed the lead. So I don't know if I'm getting away from the question, but I'm sharing on my experience as far as incarceration. And this is what I pitch now. This is what I market now. Because when I ask you want to know what it look like, you looking at it. Because when I throw one of these suit and ties on and switch over into my professional role, you would have no clue. You would have no clue. And get this, I had to share with someone that was visiting that had a long line of degrees. And I said, man, I can appreciate that because I jam with, with heavies like my brother, Dr. Ben Levi, who pushed hard on me about academics and the importance of learning, right? And so, I'm a G with this, and I had to share with him that, hey, listen, I can appreciate your degrees. And look, I can obtain them. I can actually pursue them. You can't never get mine, though. The degrees I got, man, you can't get mine. You know what I mean? And so, this all been a journey for me, and I have come full circle to find my place, man. I done got married. I have a dog that I actually paid for, a big Rottweiler here, man. I'm sitting in my home. I mean, contingent to me paying the mortgage. We say, yeah, I bought a house. Not really, somebody. But, and I say all these things, and I'm a student. I say all these things to be a beacon of hope and show that, because look, in the beginning, when I was trying to market myself, I didn't have a lot of the skill set that I needed. The messaging around me, I wasn't understanding it. You know what I mean? And then I started to pick up books. And then there's some striking things. It's funny when you was talking, Dr. Ben Levi, I looked over at this book. And this book is the Black Male's Handbook. Kevin Powell, he did the forward or whatever, right? And this brother gave me this book back in 2012, man, in Vienna Correctional. Young brother, and that's another thing. I was one of those guys in the jail that became a voice of reason on the day. I'm not the one that say, let's tear it up. I'm the one that say, okay, y'all want to tear it up? Here's what's going to happen. Now, y'all still want to tear it up? It's what, I'm that guy. Reason over emotion, man. So anyway, that brother gave me this book. He said, I bet here, so I know you read this. But, man, it's a cold book, and it started pointing out, and it's different guys that wrote stuff in here. And just different stuff about the importance of a spiritual foundation, right? When it was through your teaching, Dr. Ben Levi, I didn't even realize that I had practiced. I didn't understand it when I was doing it, that I was practicing that. So when I was practicing Christianity, From that, I got the understanding of fellowship and coming together, you know what I'm saying, for the sake of that. When I was practicing Islam, from that, I learned the power of self-discipline and how to govern self, you know, and through Buddhism, I studied that and learned meditation and the power of prayer and set my spirit. And this all put me in play to do what I'm doing now. And I don't have a whole lot. It's a beautiful struggle, man. You know, but I want, this is my ask. This is my ask with the work that I'm doing, as my brothers say, in the moment. I tip my hat to the LGBTQ community for becoming a protected class and mobilizing and becoming one hell of a huge voting block. And so when I looked at that and the power in that, it made me think about my brothers and sisters who, like me, is an ex-offender, or as they dressed it up to be cute, you know what I like, justice involved, right? Man, I don't care if you got out of jail when Nixon was the president. If you caught a case, you convicted of a felony, you part of this population. And in this state, we still had a right to vote. I didn't even realize the importance of it until I went to Florida with some people to push for Amendment 4, because they lost their rights to vote forever from a conviction. So look, even if I'm like the best candidate you could, all my constituents, shit, 70% of them got felonies from 30 years ago. Look, so from some who got convicted last month to some who got convicted 30 years ago, can't vote. And that's what made me become more politically aware and understand the power. And then the misled, misinformed who would say, man, it don't count. I don't know, teachers on, but I'm doing some simple math here. If it's rigged, right? If my vote don't count anyway, well, I don't see why would they spend millions of dollars in man-time hours to suppress it. Because if I know that whatever you go, where you go vote at, and I already know the outcome, shit, you can get in the line 3 times if you want to, because I know the outcome. So I'm looking at signs and symbols, you know, and that's how I operate, man. And so part of my ask is to mobilize justice involved and to reconnect those dots. And that's how we build, because I'm proof that it can happen. I'm just one guy. It's a lot of us out here. And I didn't start off like here. When I run into brothers and sisters that come home, because I make myself available. I can't tell you how many calls I get that sound like this. Hey, my father just came home, man. He needs some help. Hey, Sid, come get me before I kill this bitch. Hey, man, they just shot him. Man, please come get me. Can you get, I need somewhere to stay. But here's the thing, that's the covenant. And like my brother said, if we all take our time, and I love that you take your time to express yourself, brother, because I feel that, you know, what comes from the heart, it reaches the heart. And I get that there's a level of frustration in the community and a loss of trust in those figures that used to hold some value, you know, like whether it be the church, the clergy, the businessmen. See, that's why I title myself as a connections specialist. You know, some may say they're a referral specialist. You call, yeah, refer your ass over here. Now, me, the first thing I want to know is what you're trying to do and how I can support that. Because if I build you, right, that expands my territory. And it's been proven, because it ain't always who you know, it's who know you. Who know you? And what are you known about? You know, and I really hope somebody getting something out of this, because it's therapy for me, because I've been holding this. Because it's an exciting time. Money getting dumped everywhere, but what you gonna do with it? You know, I talked to a brother who took advantage of a resource, you know, and all legit, and you can borrow $20,000 for what? I was just trying to understand, because you got to pay that back. Yeah, but I'm only gonna pay $400, but you can. All right. I just have learned that if we take advantage of the resources and be brave enough to ask, we could come up. Like I didn't know nothing about an LLC. I got one now. You know what I mean? I didn't have a degree or no type of education, but I'm in pursuit of it in a hell of a way. I struggled with drug addiction or that obsession. I struggled with criminal addictive excitement, right? And I understand this. And look, all that good work I've done in the spirit of my ancestors and my high power get the praises for it. But all I got to do is come up with a bright idea and unplug from the support system that I have. And they'll reactivate that IDOC number, man. You know, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
proof that we can break cycles, man. Because I'm doing it one day at a time.
And that's real and that's good. And you touched on a couple things the same as Chacho. We keep hearing spirituality. We keep hearing that village concept. And this is to all three brothers. What are some things we could do to tell these young brothers? Like, is it meditation? You know, because a lot of times, and it ain't just the man. Sometimes it's some of us that forget about it. We come in and try to dictate to young brothers what they need or what they think.
Mm-hmm.
So when you all were talking about this culture, that culture of wanting to, it's deep culture, wanting to be in the village, culture of falling for the traps, which leads to incarceration. What are some simple things that you felt young black men needed, you needed, or we need right now?
I got a quick fix to that. Solitude. You can't really fix the village until you sure that you set absolutely right, and you can't absorb, the frequencies from, the outer, the outer realm, which is the spiritual realm. Everything we see was invisible first. Everything you see was invisible first. It came from a thought, right? So that's where the bank at. And you can never get access to the bank when you dealing with the employees. So it take a moment of solitude. We gotta stop running around chasing our tails in the circle because we dizzy. And that's just the unpopular, thing to say, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And that's when we get to the solitude, right? We can, like you said, you hit it, meditating, but that's kind of deep. They might, need to just step away for a second first, and then we can talk about the meditation. But that is the most important thing, though. Jesus, everybody that was super natural had to meditate. You know what I mean? As far as just getting in sync with, the true power, not force, power. You know what I mean? And that's my take on that. Just stop being afraid to see what's inside you. Stop being afraid to look right in the mirror and say, that's wrong. I know what's right. You won't do that without solitude. And once you see what's wrong and you gonna know what's right because it's all in there. You'll do the diligence. But as long as you have everything pulling you here, pulling you there, distracting you here, distracting you there, you won't even know, how to begin. So that's my take on that.
Ben Levy, you muted. You muted,
You
brother.
muted Dr. Ben Levy.
Can you do it? Okay.
You are.
Yeah, I like how where this conversation is going, and the fact that we brought up the whole spiritual idea of things that is missing from us, because it makes me think about Marcus Garvey's famous quote that a man without knowledge of himself is like a tree without roots, right? And trees without roots can't exist, right? So if you don't know who you are, and see, and this is part of our problems that we've been taking off our square, as it were, and you all talked about that fact that you mentioned about Chacho, about looking into yourself, look inside of you. You got to find the you that's in you, because right now we've been influenced by stuff that's influencing us. We've been victimized rather than analyzing the victimizers. See, I think once we look at the victimizers, we begin to realize, damn, why are we in this situation? So my question to either one of you, and I like this particularly said that you brought up, was what would you say have current, we talking about the young cats out there now, you know what I mean, who like they have no direction, you know what I mean, no order, you know, what would you say is the thing that is the catalyst to getting them out there? You know, we hear the stories about jobs, they need jobs and all this other kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm feeling all of that. But there's got to be some other things that are going on and need to be done by people who are in the trenches with them, you know what I mean, like you brothers are, who actually see what's going on. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm really disappointed that all the success that you all do, I don't see that shit on the news. You understand? And that says something to me. So I think is how can you help to expand that? Say it.
Okay. Yeah, and man, yeah, and that's a good question because you know, we hear this all the time, you know, best practices. Well, best practices ain't always the best practices because you look at the results, right? You're doing a lot of the same things, expecting a different result. But what I have found to be most successful in my approach is to redefine wraparound services, right? Because you can just start building that village. There's a West African proverb that says the destruction of a nation begins within the home of its people. And so I would target the mother. I would target whatever teacher that he close, whoever was closest to. Because you know what? A lot of them do not want to be doing what they're doing. It's like they done got in deep, and it go back. I'm gonna always reflect back on the crack cocaine era because you know what I mean, man, we haven't recovered from that, man. And you know what I mean, how they demonized the black woman, you know, and portrayed, you know, every movie had to have a crackhead in it, and then they was locking the sisters up, so they scared putting the baby. All that stuff, man. You had a working class people in the communities that took care of their homes, you know, and street shit was regulated to street people for the most part. I mean, for the most part, every now and then, you know, some isolated incident, but there was some things that wasn't allowed. But, you know, when the crack cocaine came in, the people who was working, you know, we talking about somebody just started smoking crack cocaine at the age of 45, 50. And now they starting to catch cases, and that same property that they was taking care of, they're starting to have some seedy characters visit now. You know what I mean? They hanging out. You know, the property value going down. Then the little local stores is not getting the business because everybody buying crack. And so, you know, that left a lot of kids to raise themselves who end up having some kids who just appears to really don't give a fuck. And when I talk to them, a lot of them are very intelligent. And when I say them, I mean the targeted population, you know what I mean, at the highest risk of gun violence, if you will, or catching a case, you know, and going to prison. And that even with that started back. My son go to school in Bolingbrook, but he jacked out in there. They called the police, man. Like 5 police cars pull up, man, for my baby. He 9 years old, man. He just mad at the teacher, pushed his desk. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm saying, and what I'm telling him, man, that's in your record, though. He said no big deal. Even when he mess up, man, it's going to show that you've been delinquent for a long time. It's like that's the setup. You start the paperwork on it. You want to get our kids riddling and shit. And you want to put, you know what I mean? These be the setups that but back to the question. What's the solution? We need to unify. And I think when we start pouring, we have to really invest in the families. Every household on the block is affected in one way or another. So I came up with this yesterday. I promise you, this just came out because I'm talking to my guy, right? Because I have my own company. And I wanted to make it a non-for-profit, but somebody had already took one of my ideas and threw it on T-shirts. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and pay for this name now. And so I made an LLC, which is Urban Community Unity Solutions. Urban Community Unity Solutions, because that's the solution in my eyes, is to unify the community. Nothing new, but we need a new approach, and it got to be sexy. It got to be attractive for them to come. And you're right, Dr. Ben Levi, because I with the organization that I worked for, that was the approach. It's like, okay, put the guns down. I got a job for you right now. But we got to think about emotional intelligence. How is he prepared to handle the stressors that come with the job. You see what I'm saying? Or you know, some CBT, some type of you know, some therapeutic groups and character building. So, you know, because I'm about development, because I'm proof that it worked, man. Hey, listen, and sometimes I have to remind people because it's my story. And I have to remind them, no, I didn't start out to be, but I did all that. I did all the, man, all that they talk about. I did a lot of it. Only thing I was never really up with, and I'm being honest, was violence. I just wanted girls, the clothes and the, you know, the shiny stuff, because we didn't have anything. You know what I mean? So just like any other kid. But you know, when you look at that, what we see, we learn, right? What we learn, we practice, and the more we practice it, the more we become it. I had to darken my heart in order to survive out there. You know what I mean? It warranted a dark heart, and that's what those young men are dealing with. A lot of them now. My time in prison, I can't tell you how many times young they gravitate to me, man, and like a lot of them who were like fighting murders. You know, be out there on the day room playing cards, it's all good. And I had a couple of them come to my cell, man, can I let you, you know, and needed to cry. You know, so my time in prison was valuable, man. We talking about that spiritual connection with people, man. You know, Curtis Mayfield said it best on that Superfly soundtrack when he said, you know, I've been all over the world, you know, seeing a lot. You know, we all want the same thing, really, man. It's our that pursuit of happiness, right? Touche on that. But yeah, man, I want to unify the community. So, and what was funny, what came out of my mouth was this. My man said, well, what do you offer, man? You got this. So what is that? You know, I said, well, it's what it say it is. It's urban community unity solutions. What's my purpose? To unify the community. He said, well, how do you do that? Hey, this is beautiful, man. It just came out. I said, well, first thing first, we need to holler at the butcher, hook him back up with the baker, get them straight, and hook them back up with the candlestick maker. Hey, it made total sense. It sounded goofy, but think about it. It said a whole lot in there. We need to get back to some basics and those values that held true with the cohesiveness. And I think that's where it started at, pulling at their heart. Because when you in the messaging, because when you say things like psych evaluation or drug, they get offended by that. So that's why my approach is harm reduction. I ain't finna come to, hey, stop it. Hey, you smoke 10 blunts, smoke 5. Shit. If you be over there, they shooting all the time. You be over there 6 hours. You know, cut it short. After 3 hours, get on home somewhere. You know, it's all in the approach because it's a process. If you know, I get the ram. I hope something made sense in that.
Nah, it definitely makes sense, and we understand that. You know what I'm saying? Right. You can't really necessarily come to young cats and say, like you said, put down the weed, but you could talk about reducing it, the effects of it, and things like that. So let me throw this out here. One of my underlying purposes to have y'all on here, sometimes, man, I sit in these meetings, and it ain't all white folks. It's people that look like us. They might not have the same soul. And I hear them say things about what black men need, what young boys need, what brothers incarcerated need, specifically about around incarceration. And these cats have never had handcuffs on. You see what I'm saying? And there's never brothers like y'all at the table, even for myself. I've never been to prison. I can't tell you how prison life is. I could tell you about different county jails around the country. So even me, I feel as though, and I'm gonna steal your stand right now, I feel as though I could be a connector and connect brothers with the people who are designing these programs and spending all this money that I think is being wasted. So I want to ask a specific question now. When you brothers were incarcerated, were there any programs that were offered to you that you saw beneficial? And then besides that, on a simple level, around this meditation, mindfulness, therapeutic concept, should there be programs like that in there for brothers?
Yes, they should have that. And no, ain't none of that shit going No, but yeah,
No,
you but
so you said there's no programs that you knew of when you was locked up that you felt was benefit for the greater
nigga, they
good.
got auto shop. What is we talking about? They got high
Okay.
school shit, the same shit to keep you running your tail circle. I mean, it's from when I was in the joint, that I no. You asked said, did you see something said?
Well, you know what? They had mediocre services available.
That mean no.
Yeah, nobody care, man. Just, hey,
Mediocre ain't cutting it, man. We on the back burner. We need experience. No, none of that shit.
I'm glad
Nothing.
you asked that question though, man, because see, that's cutting edge right there. Cause
Hmm.
I use music and candles and oils when I facilitate my pieces, because I design my own curriculums and workshops for a targeted audience, and I come with that holistic um approach. Now, as far as in there, because there's only so much you can do in there, but the whole idea, because when I first started, because I do yoga, believe me, and I'm not the one that's bending all up shit. Because when I first heard it, I'm saying I can't do that until I start learning and understanding, man, the breathing techniques and stuff like that. But see, I'm just fortunate, man, in a lot of ways, because there were some things instilled in me, seriously, that got me through them prison bits, because I seen people come apart. I seen brothers fall apart in there, man. I seen people really hurt, because see, ain't nothing more real than that pillow. You understand? Because when them doors roll, everybody come in the it's a lot of testosterone, a lot of what I'm saying, it bucking and moving, and playing cards and loud, yeah. But when you go back in that cell and you lay your head on that pillow, that's in life, period. But it's just a little more added pressure if you incarcerated. You know what I mean? But when you lay your head on that pillow, that's you right there. Ain't nothing more truer than that. I know for me, that's when everything sit there. I have to unpack everything right there. And so look, if I'm not careful, I could end up in like this what they would call a triangle of self-obsession. It's too much to unpack, but I'm saying I'm either screwed up about what happened yesterday, I'm angry about my lack of control of what's going on today, and I'm fearful about tomorrow, like what's going to happen with what's going to become of me, especially as I get older. But coming from a spiritual tone, if we add that, if we add a component like that, that would really speak to some rehabilitation, because you're talking about somebody that's coming home, and it's never like you think it's gonna be. You know what I mean? You think and there's no fanfare, because after a while, people get them people will get tired of your ass. If you playing a couch, you really one argument away from being homeless. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to come back to some conditions that's not so welcoming. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, though. With the right type of leadership and the right type of support put in play, and I'm talking about post-release, because they used to have something they call pre-star, but come on, man, you got farmers and gangsters never got along. I'm just having fun, right? But you got some people down here that don't have a clue about my life, and putting me a plan together that's already done before I even hit the gate. It wasn't realistic and blah, blah. But to that question, no, the programming, everyone is being housed. It's a housing money thing. We know that. But those men and women would really benefit from a component, a service that's provided that allows them some level of release, and self-improvement in that way.
So let me ask you this, because then I want to get on that whole release process. Would it be possible and this for both of y'all, this something and it's just throwing it out there. Would it be possible for us, for black men in the prison system, to talk to the cats running it, the shot callers, and not to interfere with none of the survival techniques? Would it be possible that we could put something together, not we as in niggas on the street, but cats inside, and say, hey, man, we about to start teaching some spirituality. We about to start teaching cats how to meditate,
yes,
and really put it on their books. If you following me, is that something that with you all being locked, is that something you think brothers will receive, or they gonna be like, nah, man, I can't have brothers lightening their heart in case we gotta, in case we gotta survive.
Right. Oh man, can I speak to that?
Yeah, both of y'all. Come on.
Okay, let me just get because listen, it's man, you know what? I don't even know where it is, man. But there's a magazine, and it's I think it's 4 states, 4 or 5 states. I know Illinois, Nevada, I think, and some states on the East Coast. But anyway, this is a magazine that's circulated through prisons, through those states that participates in it, right? And like technology, man, like I was just working for this organization, and they had zero lived experience, so we bumped heads on some things, because I used to have, what y'all call me in for? Why did y'all hire me? You gonna tell me what you want? I'm trying to show you how to set up your milieu and your programming and blah blah blah. I know programming. I've been in and out of programs. I can't tell you how many psych evaluations, drug aside, all kind of interviews, and you know what I mean. I done had, so I know this like the back of my hand. But good people just didn't know anything about reentry. But they had that magazine, and that dude was part of that magazine. This is a for-profit organization. And you can actually go on there, like say if I'm locked up right now, I can go on my email, and like if your organization or your company that offer these services is in that pool, and I click on the services I need, like say Dr. Ben Levi got the treatment center, I hit his thing, I'm gonna need treatment center. You got the food and clothing, I'm gonna hit that. When I hit clothing, it's gonna alert you that this brother need that, and so they telling me to put the narrative in, and they really wanted to work me, man. They wanted me to get them the game for nothing. I mean, for nothing, man. And when I tell you this brother who I was beginning to look up to, but man, he showed me something, because when I told him, listen, y'all benefits didn't kick in, and that this becomes a part-time job, bro. You can't never have me cooped up in the office all day. Plus, y'all don't know anybody. I'm a connection specialist. Let me go connect you to the stakeholders around here, because that's just like coming on the block hustling. Say, who was that down there? You know what I mean? And that's how it is. I take those things. All right, I done got off track somewhere and lost my train of thought. What was we talking about, bro?
we talking about spirituality.
I'm sorry.
Out of shot callers, because what they
Yeah,
roll with.
he want to know. He want to know how would they
I
receive that.
got it. So this was the thing right here. So I'm looking at this. These brothers and sisters are able to go on there, click in there, and leave a short message on what they trying to do. And they had like a template, hi, blah, 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 and wanted me to shoot that. And eventually they wanted me to be the face for the organization, right? And because I did say, you know what? All it takes is a voice of reason. You know how many brothers I know that's locked up? You know how many women I know that's locked up that ain't coming home? Some that's coming home probably 10 years from now, whatever. But I'm talking about that who are voices of reason, wherever they at in there. And if I send this directly to them and start setting them up, so yeah, what you saying? Yeah, we can reach them if we put together a format that makes sense and that fits. Like,
Right.
look,
I definitely agree.
yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to
Yeah.
get at, though, because they want to exploit me. Now imagine if we start reaching at those brothers and sisters, the ones that we know for a fact that we
Right.
in contact with, that's living right as best they can in there spiritually and all the way around the board. So them the ones you grab. Joe, hey, see how the brothers feel about this. Then we hit the administration. Hey, this is something that's been working. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we get some
Like you
data.
said earlier, it ain't sometimes who you know is who know you. It's depending on where it's coming from. So
Real
if
talk.
me said send it through, they gonna go crazy. But
But, oh man,
yeah,
yeah.
but at the same time, it's better that it's better to start. It's better to start than not start, but it gotta transcend to here too. It gotta be shit that they get out and continue. But I believe that they would do it right now because everything's so messed up right now. It's like this whole mindset of real nigga this and
Mm.
diva and all these, it's dying out. There's nowhere to turn. It's like it's no benefits from it, and they seeing it now. It's like, how long you gonna keep lying to yourself, acting like you lit when you're not. You know what I mean? So, right now they probably need you to start doing whatever you got to do, Murray, to get us together and start shooting it through and getting them in there so they can go ahead and figure out how to get they frankincense and meditate and the right type of vibes in there. Yeah,
I mean,
right
the,
now.
the real the real thing is too. They need brothers like y'all. I want to be the connector with these brothers that get the funding and make the decisions to listen to y'all. But then, like Sarah was saying, what we do in this building. But if you're gonna tap into Chacho and Cedric's knowledge, then they need to be paid appropriately. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
Like, big man. I ain't talking
right.
about, because these cats be getting 500,000 for grants, and then they ask you for 10,000 for your ideas. Nah, put them on payroll for 75,000 plus. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? These are grown men. So let me, and as we get into that, because I want to talk about some of the solutions. A lot of times, a lot of people forget. So let's just take a brother that's been locked up, got locked up at 25, spent, 10, 20 years in there. That's Social Security he's not getting. That's going to jeopardize him down the line. We always talk about when brothers get released. If one of you don't mind, what is that process and what's that mentality when you are getting released so people can understand, whether it's the days leading up to it. I heard Said touch on it for a second. Where am I going? What's out there for me? You know what I'm saying? Was there anything that helped? You know.
Got it.
Why you think it's a revolving door?
I want you to tell them though. You see what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right, right.
I
I
want you to
just told
tell
them. They
them.
know what I just said. It's a
Hey,
revolving door for a reason. It's me and Sid might be like roses in the concrete. It's plenty of roses in the concrete though, but it's like out of 10 guys, it might be three like us, like just trying to elevate and go let that pass beneath us be better. You know what I mean? But sometimes we feel defeated just by our abundance of negativity around us. You know what I mean? So it's basically it's basically a revolving door without the ideas that we all trying to come up with.
So let me ask specifically, because people that's never been locked up, like a lot of people making these decisions, they think it's like TV that you all sit down with some social worker before you get released. If you work, you get some check, and they help you with housing, and then they tell you about these jobs and all that. So none of that shit goes on, huh?
no, look, the
They do
process.
a little bit.
I mean,
Okay.
you know what? They
They do
job
that.
is
They
to
do
dump
that.
it on you. They dump
Mm, mm.
they dump that they paper pushers. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right, right,
I
right.
mean that's the law of the
That's
land.
just
Don't
like cosmetics. That's
there
makeup.
you go.
They do that, right? And then they know that, you've been incarcerated and they have this leash on you and now you are free and they also, trying to continue this leash by, pretending that they finna help you. But, anything that they offer, like housing or whatever, that might work out for a minute, but then you got to maintain it. Reality gonna hit. You know what I mean? And that's why it's a revolving door because it's all cosmetic. They always uh pin on your leg and tell you it's raining, throwing the rock and hiding their hand type situation. So yeah, we not gonna play like that. You know what I mean?
I
That's
will
it's phony.
I will say this, right? Um, you know, for me, it was always nerve wracking. The closer I got to that date, it's like there's no in between. And again, I'm speaking from my own experience. The shock of when they put them cuffs on you, and and when man, I ain't finna go home. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
Mm.
that day, and then look, then the day you get released, it's kind of like for me, there's no in between. And it's like the worst part when you get arrested and man, nerve-wracking waiting to go home, man. When you get under 30 days, especially you've been gone for a couple of years, and you get up under a year, you know what I mean? But all of it too long. All of it too long. Because that last
2
one
minutes too long.
I was gone for 9 months. Now my mind was made up that I wasn't gonna go backwards in a lot of ways. But what happened was I started eating a lot, man. I was so over it, man. I really wasn't taking care of myself for them 9 months, and I can't. That's why people see me now, because I done dropped some pounds, because I'm back to my regular weight or whatever. But man, that process is mind racking. Every time you lay down on that, lay your head down, you're thinking about what it's gonna be like. Man, I can't wait to get home, and then to come home. I'm gonna tell you something. See, when I made the decision that I was going to break the cycle with the madness that I was going through, and that wasn't working for me, I just flipped the script. I wasn't ducking my parole officer no more. Like, where you at? You know what I'm saying? I need your help for real. Because guess what I found out? I found out that y'all actually have a mission statement. Y'all have some core values and supposed to offer me help on a number of levels. I didn't know that. See, and I said this in front of a whole group of parole officers. I ain't front them off, because I promise you, I went in there to do this. Hey, how y'all doing? Blah, blah, blah. Can any of y'all name some of y'all code? You know, I'm gonna go to, hey, can you tell me at least 2 of y'all cardinal rules? Well, whatever, right? But I didn't go in there with it. What I did was flip the script and say, listen, I didn't know that you guys do all this work. I had no idea all this was available to me. And so, you know what? That began to break the cycle right there of coming home trying to do it on your own. See, if you ain't willing to ask for some help, man, or if you ain't got no real live support, it's gonna be tough. But it still could be done. My first job, I was a crossing guard, man. I was a crossing guard in Oak Park. You understand? And guess where I lived at the time? I came home from the joint. I was staying way up on Jarvis and Ashland, man, catching the train. But guess what? That's why I ran back into that higher power. Those train rides. I'm getting up at 4:30, shooting all the way downtown, all the way out west, going Oak Park, saying hi to these little snotty old kids. You know what I'm saying? They mamas, hey, they getting to know me, bringing me lattes, and it was cool. And then other things started happening for me. And then I started looking for safe spaces to be. You understand? I looked for safe spaces. And then I started marketing myself. You know, hey, build relationships. And I'm showing you the format that I use to break some of those old cliches. Because guys, we got into, a lot of us who come up in Chicago and in the jail culture, the street culture, come home looking for someone to bear gifts. Looking for people to bear gifts. You know, those days are over, man. Don't nobody care about that no more. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, you come home, somebody, hey, let's put something together for them. People ain't come buying you out no more. Oh, that's been toward there. So it's like, okay, this is new, and we got to build this plan as we go. And if there was ever a time to be cutting edge and bold with it, it's now. One thing I learned from the Trump administration, man, listen, and that was just a trial run. You know, we ain't got to unpack all that, but I'm just saying signs and symbols and what we going through. It's really to say, like, we got so much other shit to be dealing with than to be out here reckless like we are. And I want to say this for anybody on the sound of my voice, because what I'm saying is ripping my heart. And I have to ask young men, because, see, I can't equate being an effective parent with running around looking for some motherfucker to shoot. You know what I mean? Like, you an effective parent and a killer that don't mix, bro. You can't be at your daughter 1 year birthday party with toys and shit and leave there and go ride around looking for somebody else who ain't got nothing to kill them. I think that's major death riding, man. Two broke was riding around looking for somebody else broke to kill, or to come in the house with a couple of pills in your pocket, about $8 in a blunt and blood on you. So, you know, I talked with a young man who had a stack of t-shirts, rest in peace. I thought those might have been left over. You know what I mean? Those are actually different people, man. Different people. Benny Lee told me that same thing. He told me that, and that's what I ran right into it. He told me that before I even saw it, that he ran somebody had a lot of rest in peace t-shirts. And eventually doing the work I do, I saw that. Signs and symbols, that cycle will continue. So my thing is, each individual have to be, if you a stakeholder. What about the women though, man? When you say ex-con, convict, jail, penitentiary, first thing come to mind is a man. But we got all these women. And I mentioned earlier when they started criminalizing the black woman as the crack whore, you know what I mean, as a crackhead, you know, and we lost so much in that, you know what I mean, like forgot about that. But that's, and so it begins, the harm from what was done then. You understand what I'm saying? So many different moving parts in our culture, man, that play into that will make someone become a motivated offender. All this pressure. So where do we begin with that holistic approach? And like we was talking about, in implementing some type of meditation. Because if you can't govern yourself and understand how to quiet your mind, man, you'll go nuts. And I want to shut it down with this. But there's like a horse race. This is the Arlington, you know what I mean? All these horses got names up here, man. And if I ain't careful, they'll take off at the same time. You know? Up, here come anger leading you. Oh, wait a minute, frustration is neck and neck with them. Oh, wait a minute, here come disappointment and resentment right behind. Wait a minute, you know what I mean? And if I don't move, you know what I mean? And rotate and have these kind of conversations and stay in my lane of helping others, you know, man, I mean, you know, it'll be rough for me, man. But I found my groove in helping others. And I am a walking example. I struggled with drugs, high school dropout, you know what I mean? In and out of jail, dysfunction, all that, trauma and all that. Man, but look, I can be counted on today. I'm humbled by that. You know, I'm not one to say, because, you know, if we're not careful, we can come off braggadocio. You know what I mean? I mean, we all guilty at some point. You know, we get on Facebook showing, hey, I'm eating the best shit, crab legs, I'm drinking the best liquor. Oh, look, I'm way over here in Honduras. Y'all ain't no shit over there. You know, sometimes that messaging can make the same way when the dope boys used to pull up, man. And I wanted them shoes, man. And I wanted that stuff, man. And they ain't pull up and share with me either. Pulled up and stunted on me, really. Yeah, Joe, what y'all on out here? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? And so all those frustrations, man, I took all that and I made it my portfolio. And so what I want to do is reach out to these young ones, put them right here, push them up, and you tell me what's over there on the side of the fence, man. Real simple. Get this. And if you get over there, throw something back. And it ain't got to be me. I done seen it work. This is why I call myself a connections specialist, because I might not, the only benefit I might get out of it is just seeing somebody else connect and build something out of that. But we got to make ourselves available, man.
Dr. Ben Levi?
Yeah. I thought about all that you were saying, and I want to come back to the idea of programs in prison. Let me tell you a little story about myself. Back when I was an undergraduate, I went to school, undergraduate school at a university that I could see Stateville Penitentiary from my dorm room. Okay. And I worked in work study in the law department, in the law school, which gave me a chance to go and visit Menard, Joliet, you know, Pontiac, and Statesville. And back then, and we're talking in the 1970s now, they had all kind of programs and stuff. And I watched how those programs gradually went away. But what impressed me most of all was that I used to get a chance to go and speak down there at all these places, you know, and talk like I talk, you know, which I've been doing for a long time. And, you know, that's what I do. And what impressed me was that all these young brothers was there who was just like me, look like me, my age, you know, they all there to see me. But it was more than see me. Because after I do my presentation, of course, you got the guards there, the brothers would come up and shake my hand, but they'd do more than shake my hand. They would put little pieces of paper in my hand with messages. You know, here's my mama number. Let her know where I'm at. You know, she don't know I'm down here. This my, you know, my baby mama's, you know, number. Call her. Let her know I'm down here. You know, or please get me out of here. You know, I'm innocent. And all types of stuff like that. And I would actually take these things and I would keep them And then I would go into the law office and I would call these people up, you know what I mean? And let their parents or their lady or their brothers or whoever know. Look, I just talked to so-and-so. I don't know if you know this, but he's in, Menard. He's in Pontiac. He's in Statesville, And with people who think they can just drop right off the planet. But we also had programs on our campus then to work with brothers who were still incarcerated. They would come out like work study, I guess they called it back then. And it was real productive. And then what I think happened in the state of Illinois was that they saw that all these brothers were getting, like all these experiences. They were learning things, and stuff like that. Like they had a huge barber college in Statesville. Because I ran into one of the brothers I grew up with, in Robert Taylor down there. He was like, Joseph. I'm like, damn, why you here? He said, well, you know about such and such a thing that happened, so and so and so and so. Well, that was me. All right. And I think that it taught me two things. One, I don't want to be in that spot. Okay. I don't want to be there. But number two, that I could try to do something to help some brothers. So I got into a program. We had these wards of the state that lived on our campus, and my roommate had spent like 10 years at Pontiac. One of the smartest, sharpest brothers I ever met. All right, this brother was well read, one of the first times I ever got introduced to Machiavelli and the Prince. This brother turned to me. He said, you ever read that, man? I said, no. He said, you should read that. And I've been hooked ever since. But they don't do that now. I don't see where there have been libraries where folks could read and contemplate and, increase their knowledge. I don't, and I'm asking this as a question. I don't see where they had any of that now. And like I said, that's been 1970. So it was a long time ago, the 70s and the 80s. But I don't get the impression that they're that concerned about, it's all about punishment and not about mental development, intellectual development, or something like that. I don't see where they're interested in that. So a lot of these brothers and sisters come out of there traumatized. All right. And they have nowhere to go because it seems to me in some cases like their soul has been taken away from them. And so they don't have no way of channeling that, getting in touch with that spiritual side of themselves. And I think it's real important what y'all been saying about that, because I would think a lot of brothers I had talked to back then, that experience had to take a deep look inside themselves. And when they came out like you all did, they were really much more in touch with who they are and as people, who they are and what they want to do for their people, and how not to have somebody else get in there, because now they know what they didn't know before, and maybe that was the place where they had to acquire that. So my question is, in all of that was, did you all have any opportunities to read?
They had libraries, like they didn't have a whole lot of selections, but it's like you said back then, guys was getting degrees in jail back then, man, and so they just, I came in in the early 90s. I went down in 91, 92. That's when I actually went to the joint. But when I got there, they was just starting to phase a lot of that stuff out, because everybody used to get 3 free envelopes to write. And I was a writing dude. I come ask you, hey, you writing anybody? Let me get your envelopes. People get mail from me and all kind of names. But I'm saying they took that back, so that broke down some of the correspondence and connections with family, because some people was indigent and didn't have anything. They had all type of little programs going on for as far as activities with the leisure time service, but they started cutting all that out and started having people line up in tools. Man, that's when the warehousing, they start building gates around. If one of those penitentiaries, man, that's their main source of income. I mean, the dude that's the major, his wife run the dietary. They niece working healthcare. Uncle Roy, he the maintenance dude, and his brother working in commissary. It's like, in like that whole world, man, they didn't care about us. Like, man, look, come in, do y'all time, get on out of here so we get the next Vic in here. And eventually that's what it got to. Just like that guy I forgot his name, man. The guy who ran Arizona with the tent city.
At Arpel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chef.
Yeah, he on the news. Somebody told him, like, look, you know, by you accepting that pardon that you are that's a conviction. Yeah,
Yeah. That's Chef Arpel. That's him, right? Head sleeping in the damn hot ass desert.
Yeah, the
With
humiliation.
pink uniforms on, with pink suits on, right?
Yeah, and I was in Arizona when I saw that. You know, I got to see some of that. But you know, to answer your question though, they had those things and they just started phasing out because they were saving money. Like, man, why should we look? When I went to the joint the first time, they gave me $100 when I left. When I just left 2015, they gave me $10. Gave me $10, told me catch the bus. I mean, get home. Hey, it's on you now. You know, and so you know they don't have anything in play like that right now. That's really helping unless you go to a penitentiary that's known for those programming. Real quick, Professor Benny Lee took me to Sheridan, man. I can't tell you what an experience that was to walk inside an Illinois prison through the front door, man. Hey, look, we talking the whole time, right? On the way there, when we get there, I say, I looked at them towers. I say, hey, they know who I am, right? He say, man, they know exactly who you is, right? So I expected to be humiliated, bro. You know, I expected them to offer, oh yeah, Saturday Fridays, come on, strip, let me, you know. And man, they took my ID and said, welcome and enjoy your visit. And I'm like, no shit, you know. So now I'm actually on the walk, man. I see the brothers lining up for the yard. I see them going to the academic building. That familiar smell of soy being cooked over in the child, all that, man. And I was there to speak to two of their units, you know, share a message, you know. Man, I ended up staying at 3 because they wouldn't let me leave. Can you go over here today? I went on the chitlin circuit in there, man. You know what I mean? I touched all them decks, just went through there, no rehearsal, no nothing, just all realness. Cause I come from this. I'm like, y'all don't understand. I'm bugging the fuck out right now because of the be in here. Cause a lot of them are structured the same. So no matter where you at, it's still that same setup, man. And that reality of those experiences came back. But to leave up out of there even pushed me more to say, and there was some people that recognized me, that saw me. Of course, I couldn't signify. I was in the staff kitchen eating the salad. I couldn't, you know, they looking at me like, what you doing over there? Where your uniform at? But anyway, you know, more proof that if they allow examples to come in and share like that, you know, because they can relate to me more than they can somebody crashing, getting drunk and crashing their trailer. You know what I'm saying? Burnt the bond down. Well, they'll relate to my story. I'm not knocking that story, need to be told. But I'm saying respect the house you in. They're gonna receive it from me. I might not be the best baker, but I promise you, I'm a hell of a server. You bake it up, I'm gonna chop it up and serve it to the people and make it make sense.
That's real. That's real. So let me ask you this before we start running out of time. Let's say we create a utopia world, and let's just say hypothetically, all these entertainers, rappers, basketball players starting endowments in the cities or the states that they were in for specifically for black men getting released. What would be some of the things you think they would need to focus on? Let me throw out a couple examples. Would it be, let's say, and we were, you know, right now we ain't gonna worry about which prisoners get what, which brothers get this, none of that. Just saying, is it setting up housing like on a Section 8 basis for like 2-3 years? Is it and when I say paid, I don't mean no $10 an hour, you know, minimum 16 an hour, paid training. Is it free transportation? Some therapy. What are some things that you think not just you brothers could need if we and money is no object? You know what I'm saying?
It would definitely. I'm sorry, I don't want to hog the mic here. Go ahead, Charlie.
Go ahead.
Baby. Well, I
No,
just want
sir.
to
Go
say
ahead.
real quick that you name those elements because it's like a bunch of leaks. Okay, he got substance abuse issues. He leaking over here, right? Look, we plugged that leak. Oh shit, he he's challenged with stable housing. We got to plug that leak over there. You know what I mean? Oh, he got some mental issues. So everything you just named, and then that builds self-esteem, man. When somebody feel good about themselves and know that some people really pulling for them, man, cause my thing be like this. When I pour into someone that's coming home, you know, man, I need you to win, man. Well, Sister Queen, I need you to win.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we gonna start. So when you got some real support, because that's what happened for me. Now, of course, I had to show up and make myself available. When nobody gonna come pull me out the house and rescue me
Mm-hmm.
from myself. Because the worst bit I ever did was out here on the street. The worst jail time I ever did was out here, man. You understand? And so it's a lot of moving parts. But again, there are a lot of others who have going on. Hey, look, man, I'm a replica of Malcolm X, man. I ain't trying to, he said it too. Hey, I am Malcolm X, man. I did a lot of criminal, in jail, start because that was the book that changed my life, man. Come on, thousands of brothers say that. I ran across that book in 1992, Division 5, Cook County, man, and sleeping in the day room amidst all that madness. I was able to curl up with that book, bro. And from that point on, you couldn't even slide no fiction up under me, man. You know what I mean? If it ain't the truth, I don't even want to read. I don't want to read no urban novels.
Right.
I done read all that bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm intrigued with the human experience. So yes, those
Mm-hmm.
things you bring that you mentioned, if we can get some components of all that and wrap it around that individual coming on, we stand a good chance, man.
Yeah. Self building.
Yeah,
That's where they need to put the money. When we come home, it should be the mental and the physical. Nourishing, teaching us how to eat, teaching us how to think, because they all come from the inside. So we keep, reaching out for this and that, but we gotta get some type of, you know, structure within self, each individual, and it's people that it can help, you know, help that process when they coming home, so just like that's where they should put the money. They should put the money, like the entertainers and stuff you was talking about, and whatever athletes help us, because it's easy to be incarcerated and think, because it's just hard legs everywhere, but when you got the allure of every choice and every option around you, are you going to steadfast, or are you going to succumb to your environment? And what's missing is the mastery of ourselves as individuals. So they know that. The Europeans, they knew that from the Egyptians and the Africans. They knew that. That's where they got it from. We got to get it back. And the way we get it back is, keep keep spreading that simple. Because nature got all the examples. You know what I mean? And if we apply the laws of nature to ourselves, we would be a more more level headed, more easy to understand each other, more easy to encourage each other, more all of those things. And that's where, you know coming out of there when they fresh and had a little solitude, had a little time to think, didn't have everything pulling them from direction to direction. Keep that in the forefront of their mindsets, and establish it to be like the dominant habit, the dominant thought. You know what I mean? Because you know Facebook gonna be the dominant thought after a minute. Love and hip hop gonna be the dominant thought,
right.
and that's
That's right.
bullshit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And to go with the, like the brother said, it was fiction, but he found a good book. It's 98% of bullshit in the library. You know me, Murray. I'm all about this. So I go in there looking for all the psychology books. It was this many, a whole library. I had like 3 books. I got every one of them, but it was just like 3. I mean, I went. I don't like philosophy. I looked even for that. They didn't have none of that. So it's like those are the things that's not there for a reason. You know what I mean? To be able to master your thoughts and your spirit is divine. Okay, and that's what they snuffed out, and that's what we gotta get back. So tell them that.
I definitely agree and understand. Let me say this before I throw it back to y'all. And this the type of shit, they try to shut down. To me, it's simple. When you got these celebrities, and I hate to call names, I'm not calling names because they're specifically them, but I'm talking about these rich ones. When you got the LeBrons, the Jay-Z's, the Kanyes, who are supposed to be involved, and there's different aspects about prison reform and stuff, who are supposed to be involved with this policy, whether it's fighting for Larry Hoover to get out or whatever. Some of these multi-millionaires and fucking billionaires need to create a not-for-profit that sets up an endowment that hires brothers like yourselves to manage the money, the concepts, and the ideas for brothers. We got to reinvest in our brothers. We got to reinvest in our sisters, and we got to reinvest in the hood. So the fact that and they have the money. So we know the hood, the streets dictates entertainment. Is it time for us to start putting the pressure on cats? We see what they doing to Kanye. Obviously, he got pressure. So is it time for brothers to say, yo, fuck that, demonic shit that they're spreading it, talking about 300,000 for teeth. We need to invest back in our brothers and sisters. Maybe if it starts coming from us and hold these marks accountable and just keep it real. You can't come back home and not do nothing. Right. We're not buying your music. We're not buying your shoes. We're not watching you if you're not going to invest back in us. Stop telling our story, but not investing in us. Well, let me stop on that. But so
that's a reach. Yeah, man. In a perfect world, though, Murray,
is it a reach? Other communities do it. Is it? Have we ever tried that?
Right. I mean,
have the brothers?
But you know why they got billions? You know why they got billions?
Because they don't give back.
Because they good little boys. Yeah. That's the thing.
But now we got social media. We got ways to access them and hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if you get a buzz behind it. Because look, especially if we state facts. The first thing first, let's gather the facts. Man, come on, you motherfucker got all this money, man. Like where's the Michael Jordan community center at? You know what I mean? I see these kids and what they go through buying these shoes. Like, man, come on. I get it, man. We like nice things. And like our problem always want to look like we got something and ain't got shit. And so they're trying to keep it up. Yeah, we need to address them in a proper way. Not no shakedown. Not like, hey, Joe, look, y'all been, hey, look. No, but like to just make it make sense and put it there. I see what
they have to get rid of that tax deductible money. Why not use it for good instead of giving it to the Boys and Girls Club? Nothing wrong with them.
Think about who they going against when they do it.
Huh?
And think about historically what happens to those that go against the people that gave them those billions.
Right.
So it's so many different aspects of it.
A billion is a lot different than a million, though.
But power is a lot different than force. You feel me? We forcing something, but they got power. They gonna say, whoever helping them, it just is periodically. So it's like they might feel like, man, as soon as I try to get on the right path, they gonna snuff me. You know what I mean? And all this and that. So it kind of gotta be a thing, whereas money ain't even a aspect. It gotta be just. I feel. I mean, it's nothing is impossible. Like you reach something, you'll grab something sooner or later. So I'm not knocking it, but I do want to just keep it like nature. You know what I mean? Because it's rhythm, ebb and flow. The swing, the measure of the swing to the left, the measure of the swing to the right. They had the swing long enough. It's a natural thing that will be back Egypt had it for thousands of years, tens of centuries. You know what I mean? So it's a natural thing, you know, and all we gotta do is keeping on, you know, keep doing what we doing now, and it'll come to us. But I would kind of, you know, try to get a little concept of let's not make it cost nothing, because money is something they made anyway. You know, it's just an illusion. It's all an illusion, bro. And what happens with the illusion, if you give it an inch, it'll take a mile. You got the, like, insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. Ain't nobody, you know, Martin Luther King did that, you know, turn the other cheek and all this, but you know, you see what happened, you know. But if we just kind of put the truth as our foundation, you know, and these mean spiderweb crack, you know, devilish people, they dying out too. The generations they leaving are more susceptible to our ideas and our energies and all of that. So it's kind of like fixing itself. If you could let me say that, through my eyes, it is. You know, it's just a matter of rhythm. And you know, us doing the due diligence at the same time, as far as, you know, our strengths and, you know, assets and stuff like that. So you got a point, you know, like let's holler at them, but at the same time, let them just kind of help us along the way. Let's not force them to do nothing. Let's not be bitter, you know, because that's their way. You know, those are European concepts. You know, let's harmonize with this whole thing, and just kind of will to will. That's why I'm at.
And see, that's what brothers need, cause Chacho know, you know, old school. He know I be
Yeah.
bitter sometimes.
Yeah, you be
So,
ready to choke
yeah,
something out.
I be mad, but
He don't
we need
play.
to.
Yeah,
But
I always
thanks for
gotta tell him.
thanks for keeping me in line. So look,
Yeah.
you know, one thing we say before we go, we let each brother go around and drop something, say what they want to say, and we usually start with the elders. So, Dr. Ben Levy, closing remarks.
Yeah, I've been thinking about all of this. I think about all these reports that they've had. 1930, they had Gunnar Myrdal, a Swede, came come over here to study what they call the Negro problem, ongoing discussion among whites over what to do with the Negroes whenever blacks and whites are in close proximity with one another. Then they came up and after that, they had the report of the Kerner Commission report, 1968, after the riots. Then they had the Ferguson report. You know, in
Mhm.
1840, they had a guy, French guy, come over here. He did the American Dilemma, Democracy in America, Alexis de Tocqueville. And all of them talk about us. And they all saying the same damn thing. It's like we run it in place. Because they set it up so each new generation think that they the new thing and they just thought all this shit up. You see, but I always feel that this is a way to keep us running in place, like we always try to do a new thing. And no, what we want to do is do not only not be the victims all the time, but do it, analyze the victimizers. You see,
Yeah.
analyze the victimizers. And then I think we get to the point of where we are with Jay-Z and all them others, who've been complicit,
Mm.
in this.
All right, brother said.
Man, first of all, again, I'm so humbled by the information that's been shared. Man, we really chopped it up and built. Um, I would like to leave. I would like to leave a ask by saying, let's continue to be the message that we bring. Anyone that's a stakeholder has something to offer. You know what I'm saying? Everyone that's a stakeholder has something to offer. So be the message that you bring. Yeah.
Right.
Chacho.
Okay, well, you know, my thing, let's just make love the habit, you know. And proactively speaking, don't go your ass to jail. That's it.
Right. But I just want to say for real, man, you know, I want to thank y'all for coming on. And, you know, maybe we should do this again.
Yeah.
And people watching, if you want to, these researchers and academics, you got to involve brothers like this. Before I said, what organization are you with, though? Because you were saying something earlier. If people need to contact you or something, Chacho, do you all want to, if people want to contact you, you want them to contact through me, or you want to leave your information,
Right.
or
Anybody
what?
want to reach you? The service I offer, I'm a community engagement specialist and I'm a certified outreach professional. So again, a connection specialist. So I serve the community in a number of ways, whether it be recovery coaching, reentry coaching, character building. You know, I do workshops. I train staff that deal with that population also. So it's targeted. But anybody want to get up with me on? If I can't help you, I bet y'all know who can. I bet y'all know who you can if it revolves around any of those components. And yeah, you can get up with me through Marcus, or you can go on my Facebook page, Cedric Horatio Friesen, and everything I'm about right there. And more is coming, man, because I'm not playing. I came to win. And I understand that it's bigger than me, man. You know what I mean? It's some people that count on me. I want to share this, man. I thought about a brother. I got to share this. I thought about a brother. I ain't seen him in 20 years, man. He walked up on me, man. The last time I saw him, we was sitting in Stateville in 2005 with some banana suits on. He was going to Centralia. I think I was going to Vandalia somewhere. But we laughed about something, and we both in them banana suits, and he looked up at me, man. He said, man, I feel like I'm losing in the game of life, man. I never forgot that. And it was times I was losing after that, and he walked up on me, man. And he was messed up, bro. He was going through something. And I told him, man, I just thought about you about an hour ago. And anyway, long story short, he went to the detox. They didn't keep him. He called me. I said, where you at? He said, I'm on Cicero. I said, start walking. Walk down there on Madison where all the guys at. I said, man, tell him said sent you. Man, he said when he told him that, everybody, hey, come on, we got to get you because you in trouble out here, blah, 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 blah. You ain't ready to be by. Man, that man, do you know that was 2 weeks ago? He is in North Carolina with his family, who he been away from for 4 years. 10-year-old son, 12-year-old daughter. I'm listening to these kids, daddy, and I'm listening to this. And that's what it's about right there, man. The connection of it all. He told me, and God get the glory. That man just kept calling my name. Said, you don't understand. I was just smoking rocks in an abandoned building 2 weeks ago, man. Ready to give up. Not tired of living, scared to die. I'm sitting here in the living room with my kids and man, because I ran into you, man. And so that's why I have to make myself available for that. Because that's what counts. Not, all that other fake shit.
Right.
Right. And again, and this ain't got nothing, because I don't work for nobody at this point but the people. I'm not employed by an organization. I support, I'm affiliated, and I'm gonna always be for the people. But that's the real work right there. That ain't on no clock. That's on this clock right here. And that brother, now he got to help somebody else.
Yes, sir.
Right?
I understand, Chacho. If I send anybody to you, I'm a vet them, brother. I'm a vet them hard.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you call. Yeah, these brothers call right here.
But for real, let's do it again. But even out this, let's just make sure we all stay in contact and build. And we want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. And none of this will happen without intellectual Dre. So thanks, Dre. And we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Peace and love, family.
All right, brother.
Good seeing y'all, man. Peace.
All right.
All right.